Did the Will Smith slap lead to the attack on Dave Chappelle? Less than 2 months after Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, another comedian has taken a hit, Dave Chappelle, who has hosted his own TV show on Comedy Central since 2003, will not be returning to that show next season, according to a press release from the channel. The victim and witnesses stated that the suspect was in the front row of the audience, according to a statement issued by LAPD Media Relations Officer Bruce Borihanh. The victim stated that during his show, the suspect kept getting out of his chair, walking towards the stage and swearing at him. At one point, while he was performing, the suspect walked up on the stage and punched him in the face. The victim stated that he was not injured. Hi guys, and welcome back to your favorite celebrity gossip. You gotta stay tuned for this one. The LAPD said on Wednesday that it had arrested the man who attacked comedian Dave Chappelle during a live performance at the Hollywood Bowl on Tuesday evening. His bond was set at $30,000. According to police, Chappelle was able to continue with his act after being attacked. He held a Wednesday night performance at the Hollywood Improv in Hollywood. While police have made an arrest in this case, there is still no word on who may have been responsible for an incident during a performance by Chris Rock. On October 20th, an audience member interrupted Rock's set by yelling racial slurs and throwing debris from inside the venue onto the stage. When Will Smith slapped Chris Rock during a joke about their old television series, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, comedians on Twitter responded. Even though Smith apologized for the incident, people on Twitter still weren't happy with him. Added together, these tweets effectively show how comedy goes deeper than just being funny. Now, with another performer attacked, some have said that it was the venue's responsibility to control Dave Chappelle, but the panelists disagree. I definitely think it is a venue's responsibility, said Gold, the author of Yes, I Can Say That, when they come for the comedians. Judy Gold explained her views on whether or not Chappelle should be let go by Comedy Central after one transgression. This is a man who has his own show, and he is told what to do when he goes to these events, and he knows that there are going to be cameras everywhere and he can control himself. The comedian was asked if she thinks that Comedy Central should have been more responsible for Dave Chappelle's safety. She responded that it's the venue's responsibility. I think that when you book a comedian, you have a certain amount of social capital with them, and what happens when they walk on stage is not just their responsibility. It's the club owners, it's the hosts, it's the security guards, and it even goes up to the audience. The comedian has to feel like they can be funny and talk about whatever they want to talk about in front of whoever's there. And if someone gets offended, then that person has every right to speak out. But I don't think it should be done as a mob mentality. It should be one-on-one with respect. And I do believe that people who are on television or in public have to deal with some of the consequences of their words and actions. But I also believe that we at comedy clubs all need to work together to create an environment where everyone can feel safe and free to do what they love doing. Dave Chappelle has had a rough few weeks. First, the comedian's highly anticipated comeback on Netflix's Comeback Special was filmed in Los Angeles last year and released on March 21st. It was unexpectedly met with a wave of criticism from some of the most prominent comedians in the business. Then just days later, Chappelle was attacked by an audience member during his set at a New York show. Unfortunately, Dave's been around long enough to know that he's not without his share of detractors. But if this most recent incident is any indication, and it probably is, it seems like those who disapprove of Chappelle have an increasingly easy time letting him know about it. In fact, it appears that Chappelle may have even been attacked for negative comments he made about Kevin Hart earlier in the month. How could this be? Well, initial reports suggested that the attacker was a white male in his mid-30s who stood at 6 feet tall and weighed about 180 and 190 pounds. Although police have yet to confirm, several sources have identified the alleged assailant as William Dixon, a man who claims to be an actor and writer living in California. In response, George Wallace too said that the venue has an obligation to make sure everyone is having a good time, and that if someone is disrupting it, they should be ejected. Rick Overton added that if Chappelle had felt threatened or uncomfortable, he should have been able to leave. Aries Spears disagrees with both points, saying that venues should not be responsible for policing their audience's behavior, but instead should let comics request security if they feel threatened, as Chappelle reportedly did. British actor-comedian Paddy McGuinness also claimed that Dave Chappelle's infamous gun attack in May was directly caused by the Will Smith slapping saga. Despite this, McGuinness reckons it was all a misunderstanding and that there was no hard feelings between the pair. Speaking on the OP radio show, Paddy said, "I know both of them very well, and I know it's not true that they fell out. I think it got blown out of all proportion slightly." The investigation is currently ongoing, but the suspect told authorities that he had been waiting in line for a few hours just to get a chance to slap the rapper's hand when he suddenly refused to comply with his request. The assailant said that he felt disrespected because he couldn't believe that anyone would deny him the chance to shake hands with his idol. He said he'd been listening to Smith's music since 1995 and felt that it had gave him an almost spiritual connection to the artist, and therefore any interaction between them was simply about respect. According to Chappelle, comedian and former host of The Chappelle Show, he and his entourage were unharmed after the attempt on his life during his performance at the Hollywood Palladium on Saturday. The alleged attacker, Isaiah Lee, was arrested and later charged with 4 misdemeanors including battery, possession of a weapon with intent to assault, and unauthorized access to the stage area during a performance. Chappelle's bodyguards were able to talk Lee down from the stage and later brought him backstage for an informal meeting. While there, Lee told Chappelle about his family history and the motivation for his actions. Lee suffered only minor injuries during a confrontation with Chappelle's bodyguards. He was ultimately released from police custody due to what the police described as mental health issues. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Chappelle revealed that he spoke with Lee while he was detained by LAPD. Lee allegedly told Chappelle that he intended to draw attention to the gentrification after his grandmother was forced out of a Brooklyn neighborhood. Chappelle noted that Lee appeared to be mentally ill. Chappelle's rep provided a statement following the attack. The performances by Chappelle at the Hollywood Bowl were epic and record-breaking, and he refuses to allow last night's incident to overshadow the magic of this historic moment, the rep said. Dave Chappelle celebrated 4 nights of comedy and music, setting record-breaking sales for a comedian at the Hollywood Bowl. This run ties Chappelle with Monty Python for the most headlined show by any comedian at the Hollywood Bowl, reaching 70,000 fans of diverse backgrounds during the first Netflix Is a Joke, the festival. And he refuses to allow last night's incident to overshadow the magic of this historic moment. As prime distributors, Paramount Pictures also released a statement. "We care deeply about the safety of creators, and we strongly defend the right of stand-up comedians to perform on stage without fear of violence." Howard Stern and Howie Mandel have also weighed in on the Rock and Chappelle attacks, with Mandel saying the violence against stand-up comics marks the beginning of the end for comedy. Do you think Mr. Isaiah was really mentally ill to have attacked a famous comedian on stage? What do you think of the protection policies of show organizers? Who is always at fault in an issue such as this? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more exciting content from your favorite celebrity gossip. Now it's comment time.